Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Farmers in southeastern Virginia have come to depend on stormy Septembers. Muscadine grapes are catching on in Virginia. And we visit Nelson County for our regular county agricultural close-up feature.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Saunders Brothers Farm Market in Nelson County. We'll have more about the farmers in Nelson County in just a moment. But first, crop farmers in southeastern Virginia pay particular attention to the forecast each fall. Norm Hyde reports that's because tropical storm systems can be a mixed blessing.
Southeastern Virginia has been bone dry in 2022. Rainfall totals were almost 9 inches short of the normal amount as of mid-October. But a dry summer is not unusual in this part of Virginia, and growers have come to depend on timely rains from tropical weather systems to help finish their crops. The key is when those rains come.
It's just been a struggle this year. The whole year's been, feels like we're fighting. 21 growing season, we got, the crops were never drought stressed, not one single day. We had steady rain at the right time. If you could order up the weather, 2021 was the weather that we would order.
Shelley Butler Barlow says her husband's family has farmed this land since 1959. They grow corn, soybeans, and peanuts, and for nearly 30 years, cotton has been a mainstay of their crop rotation. Cotton is only raised in a handful of counties in southeastern Virginia, and 1/3 of the Barlow farm was planted in cotton this year. Days before the remnants of Hurricane Ian arrived here, the Barlows were ready to defoliate their cotton crop. That is, spray the plants to knock off their leaves and open the cotton bolls for harvest. But they held off because defoliated cotton is especially vulnerable to heavy rain and wind.
Think cotton balls in your bathroom. If they get wet, they're going to be heavier, and if the wind comes through and blows 30, 40, 50, 70, 80 miles an hour, it will actually pull the cotton off of the plant and it ends up on the ground. For the harvester to pick the cotton has to be fluffy and white and opened up. And if it doesn't do that, we'd lose that cotton, so it just doesn't get harvested.
But sometimes waiting for better weather can cost a farmer precious dollars. The peanuts at nearby Sandy Ridge Farms in Newsoms were ready to be dug as the storm headed toward them. Wesley Drake, a 14th generation Virginia farmer, joined his family members in a harvest rush.
We stayed up literally until 4 o'clock in the morning the night before that rain started, really right when the rain started, harvesting those peanuts. And we did finish what we wanted to get done, but throughout that night, I constantly found myself checking my smartphone and looking at the radar, how close is it, to give you a time of when the rain is expected. And we're always looking at the clock and counting down the hours, and you're trying to get that last push and get it all timed out right so that everything gets home and under the barn before the rain set in. Technology was to our benefit, and we're very thankful for it in that case.
Tools like smartphone apps do help today's farmers time their harvest better.
We live and die by the weather forecast.
But the men and women who work the land still can't beat Mother Nature. They must plan to work around her instead.
We've been doing it a long time, and it's really important for everybody because no food, no clothes is a bad problem. And I preach that to people all the time.
We're just going to shoot for our regular game plan every year. We're going to look at the varieties that produce the best yields, and we're going to try to get planted on time, and we're going to try to get harvested on time. And if we have to work around the weather, that's just part of farming.
Despite 2022's rainfall deficit, cotton, corn, peanut, and soybean harvests were ahead of schedule in mid-October. Growers here have to adapt to both drought and flood. The Barlows harvested early soybeans instead of defoliating their cotton before the storm, and then they helped neighboring Sandy Ridge growers bring in their peanut crop.
The days leading up to large rain events like that, I call it getting it while the getting's good. If it's dry and everything is going good. It's time to roll.
Drake says this year has still been better than others. 2020 was one of the worst growing seasons he can remember.
I feel like everything we had on our farm got stuck that year, maybe multiple times, and we were just, everything had a chain on the floorboard because we had to constantly pull things out, and it was just really a battle.
Barlow and Drake know things could have been worse this year as well. Their thoughts are with farmers in Florida and South Carolina who are hit hard by torrential rains from Hurricane Ian. In Virginia, they may see lower yields, but they should still make a profit.
Thank the Lord, we've made a crop, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again next year.
Many Virginia farmers carry crop insurance to help recover from major losses. They don't make a profit in the years they have to file a claim, but ideally they break even. With the skyrocketing costs of fuel, fertilizer, and other crop products, the financial risk of farming gets higher every year. Reporting from Southampton County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde.
According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Virginia has a humid climate with very warm summers and moderate winters. NOAA also notes that temperatures have risen by 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit since the year 2000. That means the chance of heat waves has increased, along with stronger storms. All Virginia farmers have to deal with extreme dry spells, but the forecast is for them to increase. For decades, farmers in southeastern Virginia have depended on timely tropical weather systems to help their crops. The question is whether the additional rainfall will come with more damaging winds and flooding than in the past.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about Muscadine grapes from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Virginia growers have a world-class reputation for wine grapes. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension visits with a grower who specializes in raising a historic local variety from the ground up.
Well, hello and welcome. Today we're in King William County, Virginia. We're at Crooked Creek Muscadines, and we're here with the owner and operator, Mr. Luke Hallman. Luke, Muscadines, a lot of people ask me about them. Is it something that a home gardener maybe could try?
Yeah, absolutely. These Muscadine grapes, they're super forgiving. They're a super easy plant to grow. They don't take a lot of moisture, a lot of fertilizer. There's very little pest control. If any, you can actually get away with no pest control. You know, there's a little work on the front end as far as the trellising and establishing them, but other than that, they're a really easy plant to grow.
Well, you've got a really nice large planting here. What made you start planting these?
Oh, I tasted them.
Okay.
I mean, they're incredibly delicious,
Right.
and they're by far my favorite fruit. And you know, after I tasted them, I got into looking. You know, they're the king of superfruits. Yep. They're packed with antioxidants. They're fun to grow, and they're just a fun plant to deal with.
You know, a lot of people in Virginia and North Carolina know about muscadines. They've heard of them. I know you said you were from Pennsylvania and hadn't really heard of them before, so I can understand how you enjoy them.
Yeah.
Now, would somebody want to buy the plant material to put in, or just maybe find some wild ones? What's the best way for somebody to establish a plant?
Yeah. So these are not your grandmother's muscadines.
Okay.
Do not go in the woods and try to pick a plant out.
Okay.
You know, there's male and female plants, and in the wild, almost all of them are males. So you'll probably be disappointed if you pull one out of the woods anyway. Okay. So yeah, you'll want to buy patented varieties from reputable growers, and most of these growers are in the South, in Georgia and Florida, okay. and you might be able to find one here in Virginia.
Okay, so if somebody just Googles muscadine grapes plants, they could probably find it.
It'll come right up.
Okay, that sounds great. Now you mentioned trellising and planting and things like that you have to do. I know you've also got some fruit over there, so maybe we can go over there and look at the fruit, and you can show me your trellis system that you use for this.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, now, Luke, when we were standing up there at that other planting, you had a cultivar, a nice green fruit variety. I saw some of those. They looked really good. But here, you've got it a little bit different here. Show me what you've got.
Yeah, so this is a black variety. This is an early variety. They come in early, mid, and late. This is an early variety, and this is a female. So a female, you're going to have a self-fertile pollinator nearby. and the ratio is 1 to 3, one self-fertile to 3 females.
Okay, so when you buy plant material from somewhere, they're probably going to let you know if this is self-fertile or not, and if you're going to need male or female plants.
That's right.
Okay, so there are different cultivars, nice black one here, the green one over there, so there's some choices for people.
Yeah, and there's even a redskin variety.
Okay, great. Now this trellis system, I can see it here, but let's go see it in one of your newer plantings up there. Well, Luke, this is a pretty robust, large trellis system. Now if somebody had just a few plants, would they still need this?
Well, you don't need something like this, but you're definitely going to need something that'll withstand the weight. Each of these vines, they can put up to 100 pounds of fruit per vine.
So you've got some posts in the ground, you've got some high tensile strength wire.
This is actually 9-gauge wire.
9-gauge wire. And now, what is this black line right here?
The black line, that's our irrigation tubing. And you know, for a home gardener, it's probably not necessary. You'll definitely need to water them to get them established, but once they're established and growing, you know, being a native plant, they really don't need that much water.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay, wow, great information. Thank you so much for letting us come out and visit today. Sure. What an amazing operation. I'm really excited about it. What are you planning in the future here? What kind of, what are you going to do with your grapes?
2023 will be our first commercial harvest. Okay. We'll be picking up some of the varieties we planted 2 years ago. Our first plan would be sell them commercially in clamshells, fresh market to grocery stores, local grocery stores, regional grocery stores. But we're really excited. We're opening up to pick your own. So the vineyard will be open every weekend in September for customers to come and pick their own grapes and enjoy some barbecue and live music and eventually, hopefully, enjoy some wine.
Wow, that's great. So come to King William County near West Point and get some muscadines, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out.
Well, for more information about how to grow muscadines, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins, and we'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. Coming up on Heart of the Home, a garlic confit scallop potatoes. We hope you'll stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise, spend time with their friends, and then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
It's that time of year for comfort food, like potatoes. Chef Tammy Brawley shares her recipe for a garlic treat featuring Virginia spuds in the Heart of the Home.
I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. I'm going to show you guys how to make a delicious garlic confit scallop potato dish. We're going to start with the garlic confit. Confit basically means cooked in fat. And we have some whole garlic cloves. I like to buy these already with the skins off because it just takes less time. And what we're going to actually do here is we're going to take off the little rough end. We're going to put a half a cup of garlic cloves in our saucepan, and we're going to add 1 cup of canola oil. We're going to bring this to a simmer, and it's going to simmer. It really does need to stay at a very low, the lowest simmer you can possibly get on your stove. And it's going to go for about 45 minutes. I do happen to have some finished product here that we're going to use. So I'm just going to take this off right now so we can start our cream sauce for our scallop potatoes. Now what you first want to do is have some melted butter in your casserole dish. I actually put mine into the oven for about 30 seconds or so. Melt a tablespoon of butter. And then what I like to do is come back with 1 of my garlic confit cloves, maybe 2 or so, depending on how big they are. I like to mash them. And then I like to add them to that dish that I just brushed with that melted butter. All I'm doing is giving the casserole dish a nice little base of garlic flavor. I'm going to brush those around. And then I want to start a cream sauce on my burner here. What we're going to do is we're going to add about 1.5 cups of each of whole milk and heavy cream. Now you don't want this to come to a boil. It will break. Break means it will just separate. What you want to do is just get it to a nice little simmer. But what you also want to add to this is some more of the garlic confit. How much? Well, how much garlic do you like? I know I like a lot. I'm actually going to come back and mash them again. And in this case, I am going to add just a little bit of salt. Give it just a little bit of an abrasive, not very much. And I see, based on that amount of cream, I want to add a little bit more confit. So we're going to get a few more cloves in there. Mash those up. After your garlic has soaked in the oil and you let it cool, you want to keep that oil. You want to keep this in a covered container in the refrigerator and use it in your recipes. But after it does go for about 45 minutes, it will be nice and soft, as you see here in front of you. So now we're going to add that mashed garlic to our heavy cream mixture. Now while that's beginning to come to a simmer, we're going to go ahead and start layering our potatoes. Now you can do your potatoes ahead. If you do, what you want to make sure that you do is that you keep them soaked in water, and that will leach out the starch. What you also want to make sure you do is these need to be really, really paper thin. You can almost see my finger through that, almost like a potato chip thin. I did not do this with a knife. I did it with a mandolin. A mandolin is a very sharp instrument. You want to use great care and caution when you use these. So we're just going to bring the potatoes around in a layer. As you can see, I've already got the garlic and the butter layering the dish. Now we have a lot of potatoes here. It's about 1.5 pounds or so. If you're like me, you might get a little impatient. It doesn't have to be pretty, but you can get in here and just kind of place the potatoes while our cream and garlic are coming to a simmer. I see that our cream mixture is already starting to simmer a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and pour the cream mixture over our potatoes. You really don't want to overfill your dish depending on how deep it is, because it could certainly run over and make a mess in your oven. Blend that nice and well over the potatoes. I see the garlic getting ready to come out, so I want to make sure I get that garlic in there. All right, we want to cover this in some foil. Cover your dish in foil, put it in a 350-degree oven for about 1/2 hour. Then we'll take the foil off. It'll go another 5 minutes without the cover, and voila, your potato dish will be done. All right, and there you have it. For about 1/2 hour in the oven, a garlic confit scallop potatoes. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
4,213 acres of potatoes are raised each year on 535 Virginia farms, mostly on the eastern shore between the Atlantic Ocean and the Chesapeake Bay. The sandy soil and mild climate there are ideal for potato production, and Virginia farmers time their harvest season to take advantage of a marketing window in early summer. In 2021, Virginia potato growers earned close to $20 million selling their produce. Virginia potatoes come in red, white, and gold colors and are smaller varieties than the well-known russet potato. The smaller size adds to their tenderness.
There are few places that can match the natural beauty of the Blue Ridge Mountains in the fall. In this week's County Agricultural Close-Up, Burke Mueller highlights the farmers of Nelson County.
Located on the eastern side of the Blue Ridge Mountains, this is the view many passers-by have of Nelson County from this scenic overlook just off Interstate 64. But once you get down to the farmland below, the views are just as spectacular.
Nelson County is crop country, with hundreds of acres devoted to growing apples, peaches, pears, and other fruits. It's a big part of the Saunders brothers' operation, but it's by no means all that they do.
So we are in 3 primary enterprises here at our field operations. The most significant, and which you can see behind me, is our field boxwood production, growing anything from a 15-inch plant on up to a 9-foot Christmas tree shaped D-runk. Second enterprise is the orchard operation. We have about 200 acres of fruit right now, including peaches, apples, and pears. About 80 to 90 of that is apples, and the majority of the rest of that is peaches. The last department is what we call our bench grafts, which are a yearling tree that we grow for commercial orchards located here in Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and places like that. We also grow some for ourselves as replacement trees or new orchards.
James Saunders is a member of the fourth generation of family members who farm in partnership in Nelson County. The original partners started farming in 1915. The success of the Saunders clan was recently celebrated when James Saunders' uncle, Robert Saunders, was honored with the 2022 Sunbelt Ag Expo Farmer of the Year Award. Like many of the large orchardists in Nelson County, the Saunders brothers operate a retail outlet on their property, where customers from as far away as Richmond and points east make the trip for the fresh fruit and other produce. Nelson County is on what the locals call the sunny side of the Blue Ridge, which is a big reason why crops do so well here. Many of the orchardists are located on the eastern slope of the mountains, where the rising sun reduces frost risk.
The drainage from the cool air that comes out of the mountains and comes down through the orchard and then goes on down to the bottomland, so we're less likely to have frost. So we have better chances of crops.
Kevin Drumheller and his mother Doris help run Drumheller's Orchard, which sits on 500 acres in Nelson County. They have a farm stand where they sell apples, apple butter, and apple slushies, in addition to the cured hams hanging from the ceiling. Doris Drumheller, who was the Nelson County Farm Bureau secretary for years, wants to continue the tradition.
Well, since the farm has been in the family all these years, I would like to see it continue, because I think that would be what my mother and father-in-law would like.
Tommy Brugier runs Dickey Brothers Orchards, again on the eastern slope of the Blue Ridge Mountains, to take advantage of the sun angle.
We have 19 different varieties of apples here. Of course, we have pumpkins for pick your own patch. We also raise sweet potatoes. We're one of the few people in this part of the country that really raise a lot of sweet potatoes. So we do fairly well with them.
The apples look tempting in the orchard, but the fruit and produce really stand out inside the Dickey Brothers retail store. While their location is somewhat remote, lovers of fresh fruit and vegetables will be rewarded for the trip. Brugier has adapted his business to the needs of today's consumer.
Everybody here now is raising apples for the fresh market. We're not really processing orchards here. The processing orchards are closer to Winchester, where the processing plants are.
Thomas Fitzgerald's great-grandfather started farming here a century ago, and it's been the family business ever since. In addition to the fruit orchards, he also grows pumpkins, soybeans, and corn.
I would say our weather is a little more mild than some other places. It can be dry, but for the most part, we have pretty good rain, I would say, for our area. And one thing that helps with the corn is relationship to Harrisonburg. It's that we sell all of our corn to there, so not as convenient as over in the valley, but you're just right over the mountain.
Nelson County has a total of 409 farms on 67,841 acres. The market value of all agricultural products is $26,719,000, a 69% increase since 2012. Crops make up most of that, bringing in $22,185,000. Fruits and berries generate $7,199,000 in sales, while vegetables, melons, potatoes, and sweet potatoes account for $1,126,000. Livestock brings in $4,534,000, with cattle and calves producing $3,953,000. Forestry brings in $468 million, according to a study produced by the University of Virginia in 2015. Danny Stevens and his grandson Thomas Huffman cut timber in the foothills of Nelson County. 5 generations of this family have been in the timber business in the county. It made an early impression for the newest member of the family to take up the trade.
Just as a kid going to the woods with them, I just fell in love with it. Wanted to do it when I graduated. I've been doing it for 3 years full time.
They see a positive outlook for timber in the county for the near future, but they also feel development pressure on their business.
It's still, for the next 10 years, it still looks to be very good. I don't know how much of the land will be sold out in that period of time, but it's a lot of it being sold out, people subdividing it.
Nelson County is also home to the Walton family home. The iconic structure commemorated in the hit television show is still standing, although it's been bought and converted into a bed and breakfast. There's a museum and gift shop for die-hard Waltons fans, but the real stars of Nelson County are the people who continue to follow agriculture's robust tradition here. From forestry to apple trees to boxwoods, Nelson County farmers are taking advantage of everything the land has to offer. In Nelson County, I'm Burke Muller reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
When the National FFA was founded more than 85 years ago, the world was a much simpler place.
Our country was a simpler place.
It was a time when about a quarter of all Americans were engaged in agriculture.
A time when many farms still operated without electricity.
When a short trip to town actually meant a pretty long ride.
Times have changed. And agriculture has changed, offering new opportunities and careers in fields like business, education, production, and research.
That means FFA has changed too.
FFA makes a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education.
We're strengthening American agriculture and providing our members with the skills needed to build healthy local communities, a strong nation, and a sustainable world.
Today, less than 2% of Americans are engaged in production agriculture, but our membership is at an all-time high. We are learning to do,
Doing to learn,
earning to live,
and living to serve through our local chapters and state associations and at our conventions and conferences.
We are the next generation of agriculture.
It's our turn now.
Let's show the world what we can achieve together.
We are FFA.